Dobry den.
Merhaba.
Akwaba. I'm Ima.
And I'm Jay.
Welcome to Ima J Empire.
So today we're going to be talking about the resources we use to find accommodation in Czech Republic and the struggles we had to find accommodation in Czech Republic or in Prague.
Yeah, it's kind of like tough sometimes when you're trying to get accommodation in Prague, like Czech Republic. But for me, I went there through school and I went to a public school. So when I was leaving Ghana, when I had the admission, so the school contacted me and they asked me if I'm going to reside in the school dormitory because the school had a dormitory. So then I told them yes, I'm going to reside there. So they took like all my details, everything, and the amount that I'm supposed to pay every month was 3,000 Czech crown. So I paid the deposit whilst I was in Ghana. So the time that I got to Czech Republic, I had already had my accommodation set for me. So that's the amount that you'll be paying monthly till you complete your school. So you can stay there till you complete your school. Once you complete, then you need to move from the dormitory. So that's how it worked for public schools.
Yeah, so for me, I went to a private school, so it was a bit different. My university at the time did not have accommodation, but they had a list of dormitories, both government and privately owned, that you could get accommodation from. So I got accommodation, I believe it was a private owned dormitory, I'm not sure. But I got accommodation. My rent was 6,700 crowns in the beginning. And then I think after a year it went up to 7,100 crowns per month. And for us, we had to register every year if we planned to stay at the dormitory. I remember my first year, I forgot to register on time, and they were like, so are you moving out soon? And I'm like, no, please find extra space, because they have a very, very long waiting list because it is a popular place.
So the top 3 resources that we used to find accommodations whilst we were there were: 1 was Facebook, because they have a group on Facebook where individuals post their rooms there, and some of the house owners or the flat owners also post their rooms there, so you can find accommodation through the Facebook groups. And the second one is you can find it on a website called expats.cz. And I think the third one is
srealty.cz. So I usually use srealty.cz and Facebook, the Facebook group called Prague Accommodation. But the only issue with Prague Accommodation is you have to be fast, because there's hundreds of other people also in the group, and they're also trying to, to get the nice accommodation with the good prices as well. So you really have to be fast and constantly checking it. But for srealty, I really liked it because you can choose which district in Prague you wanted to live in, and you can choose your price range. You can contact the owner directly, and the only thing about that is if you contact the owner, you need to write in Czech, because if you write in English, then you probably won't get a reply. You most likely won't get a reply.
Yeah, so some of the struggles that I went through when I was looking for my accommodation after school was, I think a typical example was: 1, I contacted the owner of the flat, and she was a lady, so we were communicating in Czech, because like when you send them the message, as Julie always shared earlier, when you contact them in English, like there's likelihood you wouldn't get any reply. So one of my colleagues at work just like wrote the whole like message in Czech for me, so I just sent it. So I sent it to her, and it was in Czech, so we were communicating in Czech until the time that we arranged to go and look at the flat. So when I got to the place, it was somewhere in Prague 5, close to a metro stop under. So I went there, and when I got to the house, I called the lady, like, I'm here, like, I'm just somewhere standing close to the house. So if she can come outside and just walk me in. And then she said, okay, she's just coming out. Not knowing, she just came and just passed by me because I didn't know her in person. She came and walked her dog, and then she realized I'm a black person. So then she came back and walked her dog inside. Then I called because I've been standing there for like half an hour. This person has not come out because the person told me she's coming out. So I called again, and I don't know how many times that I called. No one answered the call again. But then I realized this lady, when she was passing by, she was looking at me like dead in the eye. It's like, oh, then it was this lady who saw me. That's why she's not picking this call. So when I got home, then I messaged her, and she's like, no, no one has already, someone has already taken the flat. It's like, but why were you just communicating with me like until when I got there, and now you're telling me someone has taken the flat? So this is one of the struggle that I went through when I was looking for this flat.
Yeah. And honestly, from our experiences and from some experiences I've heard from some friends, when like the landlord or someone finds out that you're black, it gets that much harder for you to like finalize on accommodation, just because of like rumors and stereotypes and stuff like that. People just automatically assume like black people are not going to be good tenants. And yeah, so one of my experiences, I am like so embarrassed to even say, oh my god. So here's the story, right? I had been in Czech Republic for say 3 months. My mom was coming to visit me with my great aunt, and like I was living in the student apartment, so I didn't have that much room, and I wasn't really sure if they could stay with me because they were coming in for a month. So I was like, okay, let me just go ahead and rent an apartment. It'll be cool because, you know, I'll have my own kitchen and everything like that. Although my student apartment was amazing. It was great. I loved it. I just thought like I could have a little bit more freedom in my own apartment, and I thought it would be great because I think my mom was planning to come back and visit me often. And so I was like, okay, I found a nice apartment on one of these websites. Oh my gosh. On one of these realty websites, and I sent a message to the landlord. And the landlord sent me a message back. And when I tell you this story, I know you're going to be like, how you not know this was a scam? I was young and naive, okay? I like to think that everyone, you know, was innocent. Okay, so he sent me a message. He's like, oh, I'm in Greece and I rented the apartment for my son. So if you want to finalize everything, you can just, I can send you the keys by mail. You know, really authentic sounding. I don't know, genuine sounding to me. Oh my god, I just feel so embarrassed just talking about it. But yeah, so we go through the process, and he sends a contract, and I signed it. I send it back, and then he's like really pressuring me about this money, like to send through Western Union, and I was like this close to not like to just saying forget it, because he was kind of getting really rude about the money. But I was like, I really need this apartment, which I didn't. I was like, I really need it. Let me just. So I send the money, and then he was talking about some fees, so I send more money, and then I ended up sending a whole 700 US dollars. And I waited. The keys never came in the mail. I went to the post office. I went to the receptionist. I'm like, where are the keys at? I Googled his name and a whole bunch of like reviews came up about like a fraud account, how this guy is fake and everything like this. And I cried for a few days. I really did because it was $700. Like, that's a lot of money. And yeah, after that, like, I'm really embarrassed to tell this story. I haven't really told anyone the full story before, but I'm just letting you know there are scammers out there. I just thought because I was in Europe, like, people, I didn't think it was going to be like the US. I didn't think it was going to be like America. I thought people were going to be like, nice. But I was wrong. Don't be like me, okay? If you feel that it's wrong, do your research before you send money. Let me just say that. Okay. So the top 3 recommendations we would have for looking for accommodation in Czech or in Prague, is to first determine if you want to live with someone or live by yourself, because it's really common to rent out just a room in an apartment. And I mean, you can be cool with your roommates or your flatmates, or I mean, sometimes people just go, they don't even know they're flatmates. They just go there to sleep and they leave. I mean, I've seen it. And yeah, and to definitely decide which part of Prague you're gonna live in. I lived in Prague 4. My job and my school was in Prague 1, so it was like a 45-minute commute without traffic. So that's it. Well, that's one more thing. And like, I would say the most important thing for looking for accommodation while in Prague is to have someone with you who speaks Czech. Very important.
Yeah, because if you're not able to speak Czech, or you don't find someone who can speak Czech to lead you, you go through hell. That's the fact of the issue.
It'll be so
because
hard.
most of old folks, like, getting accommodation from them is like it's really hard if you can't speak Czech. But for like these younger generation, then they are able to speak English, so at least maybe you'll be able to find your way out. So that's the main thing. So I think that's the most important thing. But then I think I would say the recommendation that she is saying, because of if you're able to get someone who can speak Czech to lead you, is my typical example, because getting my flat was through someone who was able to speak Czech. So I applied for this accommodation, and one guy also applied because it was a shared flat. So when I applied and this guy applied, luckily for me, the guy was able to speak Czech fluently, although he's also African, from Mali, guy called Kone. And he was able to communicate with the landlord like very fluent in Czech, so the guy really liked him. So by the time that I got there to even like talk with the guy, this guy had already done everything, like he has done the groundwork. So, but the guy was able to, like, he was someone who was able to speak English. So for my case, like, he took it like okay, because I'm able to talk with this guy like more in Czech. So this guy's own will be like, I don't know, he will manage it. So when this guy like met us, he was so okay with us, and even that kind of, I don't know, thinking about black people, all of them, I don't know where it vanished to. So this guy, I would say this guy, like, he's no more alive. I would say may his soul rest in perfect peace, because this guy is the nicest, I would say, landlord I've ever met in Czech Republic. And when this guy even like he died, her mom was the one who was in charge of the accommodation. Her mom is like, I don't know how to even describe this woman.
Yeah, really sweet.
She's a godsend. She's
Yeah.
godsend. The unfortunate thing is, like, I couldn't speak Czech. Even if I was able to speak Czech by now, we would be still communicating because she was so happy to be talking to me. Like she wanted me to contact her when I moved here.
Yeah, she was so sweet, and she would try so hard. She only thing she knew in English is hello, how do you do, and she would even like mix French and English. But she was like the sweetest lady.
Yeah, I really love this woman, and I think it's so nice because sometimes I would say it's good to just give people the chance, like get to know people or get close to people. Then you see how the people are. Then it wouldn't be like you are always just looking at maybe the outside in order to judge people. I don't think it's a good idea because in the whole run or in the end of like the whole thing, it's like we are all human race. Like we are all just one human race. It doesn't matter with the color of our skin. Just always give people like the first shot, and you will really get to know them. Then after you can make your judgment.
All right. Well, that's all for today. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, that one you know must say so that be a motive. Yeah, can you know say Yakubon share mo say mo koso 80 na mo subscribe enti ye besan share mo bi with another episode enti mo bye bye.
Bye.